Hey guys, it's Friday, 1:58 p.m. on September 6, 2019. And I realize that the majority of our friends and family are going to be getting their information about this Hurricane Dorian from guys like this, who are reading from a script at the National Hurricane Center. They're going to be looking at cartoons like this one, and they're not going to think for 2 seconds about the information that they're given. Not that the National Hurricane Center isn't giving information that is valid. But I just realized that people are not going to be putting the pieces of the puzzle together, which is why I'm making these videos, so that you can listen to what we're being told, compare it to what we can measure, and actually take a second to think about this. Because if you're just looking at a dumb map like this that's made of cartoon, you're going to miss everything that's happening here. Now, this is the National Mosaic radar of the NexRad reflectivity database. All the stuff here that we're reading is from a whole bunch of different NexRad radar instruments that are scattered all over the country. Now, in some of these instances, like in Michigan here, you see a typical rainstorm. I remember Jerry Hodak back when I was a little girl would talk about Doppler 7000 on Channel 7 News. And he would show us how a storm would go from Bay City to Port Huron, and that was normal. Clouds moving in a certain trajectory across a certain area, and they would show up on radar and then disappear after the storm had passed. Same thing in Washington up here, maybe Idaho. But folks, if you're busy looking at this map of a cartoon, and this is what satisfies you for your curiosity about what's happening in our world today, and you don't ever take a peek at maps like this, you're missing a lot of information. And that's what these videos are designed to bring you. Give you an opportunity to look at this stuff and say, wait a minute, what is going on here? Because as you can see, everywhere from Nebraska to Oklahoma, down to Texas, to Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Kentucky, there's a whole slew of stuff that doesn't look like normal storms. Now, when I hit refresh here, I want you to notice a couple of things, because as this fuzz disappears off the radar and our national map here gets clear, you're going to see something happen to the shape of the storm. So let's hit start here, because this is all worthy of your consideration. Now watch. As the fuzz dies, the storm breaks up. The fuzz dies, the storm breaks up. Everywhere. Not just there, but even in Michigan. As this fuzz, it's as if the lights go out. As all this noise and this fuzz ceases, the storm decreases. Now, I don't know what the 2 o'clock reading is. We'll look at the National Hurricane Center to see, because as of 11 o'clock, they were predicting that this storm was going to go all the way to Nova Scotia, guys. So let me just hit pause here. And I want to point out a couple of things more on this map, because I think this is just worthy of a lot of our consideration here. Whatever is going on here off the coast of California, these are not rain bands, people. These are more like radar images. For some reason, these radar beams are creating what is appearing on radar is rain. I don't know, you guys. I'll put the links in the description. People should follow this map and try and start to make sense of it, and start asking questions like, why is it that every time we get these news feeds from our priesthood at the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administrator's Office or the National Hurricane Center, why are they always using cartoons? Or why are they so tightly zoomed in on any one of these storms that you don't get a picture of what is happening? Because there's no rain here. It's not like it's raining in Nebraska or Kentucky or Mississippi or Alabama. This is just static. This is just electromagnetic frequencies that NexRad is picking up on. So anyway, let's keep digging into what we've been told by the National Hurricane Center. The National Hurricane Center said that as of 8 o'clock in the morning, maximum sustained winds were at 90 miles an hour. Now, as you know, I've been criticizing forecaster Bevan here, because all he's substantiating is information that gives us 67 miles an hour. Or in this particular one, let's see, where was it? From yesterday, he cites the winds are near 105 miles an hour, but the NOAA buoys that he's able to quote are only 60 miles an hour. And I have been critical of forecaster Bevan and saying, no, I do not agree that 60 miles an hour is near 105 miles an hour. However, as the storm has progressed, he continues to report that the wind speeds are near 90 miles an hour, and lo and behold, what have we here? We have a weather flow station at Avon Sound, North Carolina, reporting a sustained wind at 83 miles an hour. Let me just repeat this, guys. According to forecaster Bevan, we have a weather flow station at Avon Sound, North Carolina, reporting a sustained wind of 83 miles an hour. Now, number one, I concede that 83 miles an hour is near to 90 miles per hour. It is far more near to 90 miles an hour than the 40 mile an hour winds we were getting on the 3rd of September were to 180 miles an hour. Remember that? When I started this series, guys, I pointed out to you and I said, look, what we're going to see over the next handful of days is that we're going to get the National Hurricane Center's numbers reducing, while the measurements that we're able to read at the NOAA buoys, the personal weather stations, and the federal aviation airports and the international airports, those numbers are going to increase until we reach a plateau. Until we reach a plateau where the wind speeds that are being reported by the NOAA buoys, the personal weather stations, and the airports actually match what the National Hurricane Center is reporting within a pretty consistent range of variation. Is that what we see? Yes, it is, right here. We are starting to see that the winds are really near 90 miles an hour based on what forecaster Bevan cites from a measurable source of a weather flow station at Avon Sound, North Carolina, at 83 miles an hour. Now, I haven't been able to find, and I can look for this later, a weather flow station at Avon Sound to see if there really was an 83 mile an hour wind speed. I don't know if there is one or not. I suspect that there is, because everything else he's reported when he's given these actual data points are accurate. We did find where that NOAA buoy 41004 did have wind speeds of 60 miles an hour. However, there are still things worthy to consider about this storm that just don't make any sense. For example, the fact that they said that the storm hit North Carolina, and I'm not saying this didn't happen. I'm actually saying, yes, this absolutely did happen. But here's the problem. The storm hit North Carolina going 90 miles an hour, and it bounced off North Carolina, continuing at 90 miles an hour. Not only that, but according to this 11 o'clock update, Dorian is forecast to become a post-tropical cyclone with hurricane force winds by Saturday night as it approaches, yes, folks, Nova Scotia. I'm not making this up. Not as it approaches Delaware, or the New Jersey shore, or New York, or even Rhode Island, or Boston, but 1,000 miles away in Nova Scotia. You guys, what is going on here? You guys, do you know how far away Nova Scotia is from North Carolina? You have to almost zoom in on the entire world map to see where Nova Scotia is. It is so far away from North Carolina. What is happening here, people? I don't know. I know, I can kind of, you know what, here's the thing, guys. I get why people are satisfied with this. Because when you look into this, and you start questioning this, yeah. Hurricane conditions are possible. I mean, look at this, Nova Scotia. I don't know. All right, so let's take some readings of the stuff that we've been given by the National Hurricane Center. First, well, actually, let me just zoom in here and show you what actually happened here. Okay, according to the National Hurricane Center, this pink line is the course that the storm has taken. And notice it does an intersection here. This red line is from Hurricane Florence last year. All right, so this pink line, Dorian's coming along 110, 105 miles an hour. Blitzes by all these buoys. It does not register at one of these buoys, not at 1013 or 41108 or 41159 or 41064. None of these buoys actually reported hurricane strength winds. All of them were well below 50 knots. But the storm proceeded at 90 plus miles an hour, hit Cape Hatteras, which, oh, by the way, did I mention that Cape Hatteras is a naval facility? Yeah. The last two major hurricanes that have hit U.S. soil happened to land specifically at military locations. In case you forgot, Panama City Tyndall Air Force Base, we actually lost like 22 fighter jets with Hurricane Michael last summer. But never mind that detail. Let's just continue to see what this is being claimed here. Where it's being claimed that the storm at 90 miles an hour hit land and then bounced off land to continue. So take that for what it's worth. Let's look at what the personal weather stations were reporting in this particular area, because this is fascinating as we see the National Hurricane Center using our metrics. When I say our metrics, guys, for the last 3 years, I have been reporting on personal weather stations, airports, and buoys. And over the last 4 days, the National Hurricane Center themselves are using the exact same metrics. See this weather flow station at Avon Sound? Well, that weather flow station just happens to be something you can buy at Amazon and put up for yourself. And if you pay to have the data feed, it can be fed right here and be picked up by WonderMap. And that's exactly what we have here. We have this Ocracoke, I don't know if you pronounce it Ocracoke or Ocracoke, La La Land personal weather station here that actually shows us that the storm did come blitzing through. Not at 90 miles an hour, but pretty strong. It got up to 71 miles an hour at 8 o'clock in the morning. So let's look at some of this historical data here so we can just capture it for our purposes. There's a huge variation, as I just showed you on that graph. Those numbers go up and down and up and down, up and down. They trend up and they trend down. We go from 41 miles an hour to 67 miles an hour, down to 33 miles an hour, down to 29 miles an hour, and then up to 50 miles an hour, 56 miles an hour, and then down to 37 miles an hour, and up to 71 miles an hour, which is just shy of hurricane strength. So suddenly we start seeing the National Hurricane Center information converging with reality, and we are ending up with something that does look like this, you guys. The question is, though, since when do storms hit land, bounce off, and continue at 90 miles an hour? I mean, there are a lot of questions about this. Like, what the heck is going on when we look at this map? What's this fuzz all over the country? And why is it when this fuzz dies down, does the shape of the storm change? You know, and how come the storm hit a... Now, granted, there's other stuff there. I'm not just saying that it's only the naval facility, but these storms have an uncanny ability to like zero in on naval facilities and Air Force bases and then disappear. And another thing I found really fascinating here was that the information for, let's see if I can find it. I had it pulled up earlier. The information that I had for that, yeah, you can see they shut the power off from 4 o'clock in the morning to 10:30 in the morning. So the wind speeds shut off at 4 o'clock, and this is, by the way, this is at the Coastal Carolina Regional Airport, which, if we hit the back button here, registers as, if I type in here, Cape Hatteras, right here, naval facility, which I'm going to do right now. So we're going to go to the naval facility, which is a link here, and it's going to offer us this Bruxton, North Carolina. If I open this Bruxton, North Carolina Regional Airport, so this is all at the same spot apparently, I want to point out that the power went out. Let's see, I've got to go to the history here. The power went out at 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, when we had the wind speeds of this, one of the first storms I traced down near the Florida Keys 2 years ago, one thing I showed you guys was that as the storm was approaching land, the wind speeds were getting up to like 60, 70 miles an hour, and then the power went out. But at this particular national airport, this regional airport, I want you to see what happens at 4 o'clock in the morning when the wind speeds are just 31 miles an hour. Okay, 29 miles an hour, they go up to 31 miles an hour. At 4 o'clock in the morning, the storm is still a considerable distance away. At 4 o'clock in the morning, you guys, this storm was still a good distance away from this airport. The power goes out, and then it comes back on at 10:30 in the morning, 6 hours later. So I just thought I'd point that out, that there's this uncanny ability for the information to go dark, but not all of it. Not all of it goes dark. If we go back to this map here, we can X this out and look at a handful of other points of observation, because we should be seeing right here, like, what is this, Belhaven? We should have seen wind speeds that were consistent with a hurricane of 90 miles an hour going through here. And guess what? Unfortunately, we don't. I will scroll down and show you the highest wind speeds we see here are only 47 miles an hour. I'll show you on the table that these wind speeds increase, and right about 8 o'clock, between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, when this storm should have been increasing in huge strength, the highest wind speed we get here is roughly 30 miles an hour. Roughly 30 miles an hour. Yeah, until present time, the 26 miles an hour. All right, let's hit the back button here and see if we can find some other ones. We'll just keep taking Tamarack Drive. We'll see what this one reports around 8 o'clock in the morning. Okay, we have 54 mile an hour winds, 65 mile an hour winds. We do have a gust at 84. Let's see, where is this one? This is not Avon. Okay, I was wondering if maybe this was the one that forecaster Bevan was using, but it's not. And look at these temperatures. Wow. Well, it's only a 10-degree drop. It's not that much variation. All right, so we have the temperature and the wind speeds. Wind speeds max out at around 65 miles an hour. That's pretty strong still. So that is up there. So the highest strong winds are going to be right in this area. But we should still see some hurricane strength winds. Let's see what we've got here at Live Oak. Wow. So the power went out here too. Yep, 3:18 a.m. and continued. That's really strange. Did we lose all that information? I think because it's let's just see. I bet you $10 it just goes dead around 3 o'clock in the morning. They shut off the power. Yeah, they shut off the power for 7 hours. The wind speeds were only 7 miles an hour when the power went off. That doesn't make any sense, you guys. Why would the power go off at the wind speeds of 7 miles an hour? They turned that power off. That was not because there was a hurricane there. Let me just double check. Am I wrong? No, 3 a.m. to 12:59. Yeah. I don't know. Let's just keep looking at a couple more other places. What do we have here? Cedar Island. Let's see if the power went off at Cedar Island too. I mean, like I said, when that storm went through the Keys, the power went off at like 70 miles an hour. And it was a pretty consistent 60 to 70 mile an hour in the Keys, even 40 miles an hour. It didn't hit hurricane strength, but it was pretty strong storm when it went out. How about now? The wind speeds got up to 65 miles an hour. I don't know. It doesn't look like this power went out here. We have 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Thank God for generators. 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Good, good. Now see, here's the thing. From 8 o'clock in the morning onward, we should see wind speeds here, guys, in the 70s at least. But that's not what we see. It's not what we see. And this is my point. This is where there's a problem with the information that we're given. You know, one wind speed reported by the National Hurricane Center at this Avon location does substantiate that the storm would have to be qualified as a hurricane, but because it's 83 miles an hour. But the strange thing is, guys, is that the hurricane force winds stretch outward from 45 miles. People, look at what I'm telling you. Look at what I'm not making this up. I'm literally showing you. I'm literally showing you. Now, if we just go Hatteras to, where is this? Let me see where this is. Grace Harbor. I don't know. Okay, wait. Okay, let's just do this longitude and latitude. 35.08, 76. Hold on. I got to write this down. We're going to plot this. 35.08, 76, 60. Okay, I'm going to plot this in Google Earth, and we're going to see how this looks on Google Earth. Okay, here we go. Here's our pin. What color should we make of it? We should make this one this color. Okay. I'm going to hit OK, and then we're going to plot this in at 35.08, and we're going to plot this in at 76.6. Should I put a negative or a W there? Well, let's see. I think I should put a negative there. Let's get info. I'll redo this. Maybe it's a, yeah, this needed to be 76.6 W. Where is our guy? Okay, now here's the thing. The storm spreads out 45 miles from this pink line. Let's look and see how far apart this stuff is. This is well within the area where a hurricane strength wind should be found, people. You see what I'm showing you? Let's just look right here. I'll just get rid of this. Here, I'm going to click that there, and I'm going to move this over here and show you that this particular Grace Harbor, okay, is well within the 45 miles of the hurricane strength winds. And we don't see that. We don't see it. We don't, in fact, you guys, here's the thing. We don't see any of these readings reaching hurricane strength winds. I don't even know where this Avon is. I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt, though, and say that there probably is some Avon Wonder station here that's, or whatever they call it, some Avon station that's picking it up. But do you see the problem? I don't know why. Here's the thing, you guys. I used to believe all the people claiming authority in my life until I read the Bible, because the majority of people claiming authority in my life were Catholic priests and Catholic educators. And that was for a good 3+ decades in my life. When I picked up the Bible 10 years ago, and the Bible refuted all the authorities that I held in the highest esteem, my spiritual guidance came from a priesthood that I trusted, and I found out that God has been warning us that our priests lie to us. I haven't been able to trust anything the priests say. So I research the stuff I'm told, because the last thing I want to do is be led astray. Our Lord Jesus Christ says, beware lest no man deceive you. And he rattles off a bunch of things. There are many people that are going to become in his name saying that they are Christ. But you guys, we treat these people as an untouchable priesthood class, and there's a lot of bad stuff happening because we believe everything they say. How many people have gone off to college and stopped believing in Jesus because the scientific priesthood has taught them that evolution is incompatible with Genesis 1? A lot of people. This is an unholy priesthood, guys. And the reason I'm asking these questions is because I don't just trust anybody. It doesn't mean I have the answers. I don't. I don't know why this is the way it is. I don't know. All I can point out, you guys, is that a hurricane, let's just see, a hurricane of the strength that they told us, of 90-mile-an-hour winds, there wasn't one here. There is no hurricane here of 90-mile-an-hour winds. I don't know. I seriously, I don't even know what to make of this stuff, you guys. But I thought I would bring it to your attention anyway, because that's just the way it is. This is just the way it is. So, all right, I guess one last thing before I sign off. Let me just double check to see what the newest update is from the National Hurricane Center. So hang in here with me. We're going to do one more reading, and hopefully this will be the last one, Dorian, but it may not be. Okay, so this is a 2 o'clock bulletin, and here is the new location. We're going to plot this in. I know these are longer videos. You guys do with them as you will. All right, let's go to Google Earth, and I will close this out, add a new one. We're going to change this to now pink again. Okay, this is going to be Dorian 9:02 p.m. and the location here. Hang in there with me while I just finish this up. We're going to see where this is. And we'll hit OK. Wow. So the storm just keeps tromping on through. We're all the way over here. Okay. All right. We'll hit OK. Now let's see what this information has to say. Okay. Wind speeds are... It's moving now 21 miles an hour. So this, okay, not only did this storm pick up in speed as it came to land, it hit land and now it's going faster. So the storm is moving toward the northeast at 21 miles an hour. It did not even slow down. Maximum sustained winds are near 90 miles an hour again. Hurricane force winds now extend outward up to 75 miles from the center. This storm got bigger. During the last 2 hours, several stations on North Carolina Outer Banks north of Cape Hatteras reported sustained winds of 70 to 80 miles an hour. Notice they did not substantiate this. They are just saying that several stations, should be plural, stations on the North Carolina Outer Banks north of Cape Hatteras reported sustained winds of 70 miles an hour with higher gusts. These winds are now decreasing. None of this makes any sense. None of this, let's see, who is this? Forecaster Bevan. Forecaster Bevan, you have signed your name to something that just doesn't make any sense, and you forgot a plural. I don't know, guys. He just reported to you that the speeds of the storm has increased. The strength of the wind is still near 90 miles an hour. He did not cite where these readings came from. And frankly, you guys, I don't know. If I were in Nova Scotia, I would start boarding up because these guys have an uncanny ability to know that these storms that are off the coast of the Bahamas are going to wipe you guys out. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I'm able to document here because nobody cares to go off the reality of any one of these wind speed instruments. Everybody is very satisfied. Everybody's very satisfied with the destruction that happens as if 90 mile an hour winds blew through there when all we can document is like 70 mile an hour winds. I'm just beside myself. I don't know what else to say. All right, you guys, that's it for my updates for today. Have a good day. Bye.